Hey, veterans and caregivers. I've been putting out a couple of videos. Hope they've been helpful. I'm doing a lot of legwork on my own to find out about this caregiver program. We're starting to learn the cuts and all this, whatever, from the VA. But I've taken it a step further because I want to find out. I've read for those of you that are tweeting on the caregiver program. I read all those tweets and I pretty much forward or I like everyone that posts because it's vital that veterans and caregivers share our information that we find out because maybe it's like little pieces or pieces at a time from each individual, but then it starts to make sense. And also, I like to share contacts and phone numbers of who I've been able to get through without being on hold, without being on in the telephone loop. Um, and I'll explain it to you just a little bit or whatever. Anyway, so let's get ready to go on the update. Today, I received confirmation in my email from the Freedom Information Request Office, and I have a link down below of the copy of the letter and the name and number of the individual to call. I don't want to go back and forth because I'll push the wrong button and there I'll be. I'm a Marine, man. You know, we're not the smartest in the world. So but anyway, in the link below, check that out. You can read a copy of the letter and what I actually asked for, and they have receipt of it. And they have 10 days per the Freedom of Information Request Act to get an answer to me. What'll happen is this: is that they'll come back and say, "Oh, we need more information." They're buying time. We need more information. We need you to clarify this. So we need to. So it'll be a, it'll be a back and forth game. Now, this is the second request that I've put in. Um, and I basically sent them to the same places. And it's very difficult to find the Freedom Information Request forms, and you don't really need a form. Let me explain this to you. When you go to the VA website, all the way down at the bottom, they have all what you're in the middle, and if they want there's wanting to target you to a different apartment, but all the way down at the bottom, scroll all the way down, and there is a list of activities that actually departments, and one of them is spells it out FOIA. When you click on that, then it brings you to where it's a pre-filled out form. You just fill it out with your information. You get to do your request on this form, and you send it um, electronically, and then they'll send you back a email saying they received it. Now, the things that I requested, everybody's going to be different, whatever. But here's what I requested. I wanted to know, or I asked for, um, who all reviewed my records from 2017 when we had this initial problem. Who all reviewed my records? Who all had access to my records? I need their name, titles, and their actual uh, uh, certificate of education, or where they graduated college, or whatever the case may be. I also um, asked for this name. Well, I knew the name, but I asked for the credentials of my case manager, Ms. Rheanisha Burrell, and why she signed off on my declination. What is her qualification? Why could she review my records when I didn't allow her to, and why I didn't get a formal declination letter. I never got a letter. I just got a phone call. So I'm still waiting on the letter. They said, "Well, we mailed it to you." Well, I can get everything else from the VA, but I haven't got this. So, but basically, I'll break it down for you. This is a part of my medical record, so I'm trying to. But anyway, these are the individuals that all that I see. Oh, it's upside down. Hold on. Oh, dang. I don't know how to. Okay, hold on. Well, these are the individuals here on this piece of paper who all had access to my files during this particular time and the date. You see the date there. It's all backwards. I'm sorry. Maybe some of you guys can, maybe some of you Air Force people can read upside down. Maybe. But anyway, these are all the people that actually touched my file that I know of. This is at the Houston VA. Now, I was told that they send it off to a seat team, but now I'm learning that that's not the case because these are individuals that work at the Houston Regional Care Center. So that's another question that I have. Who made final declaration? And I wanted to know names of who were on the board that declined my my caregiver program. For those of you who don't know, I've been on it since 2009 when I just got back from Afghanistan, and I had to do a year of rehab, and then so 2010 is when I actually the program I qualified for the program before I got out of the hospital. It was written in my medical records that I need 24-hour care assistance, and I was going to need that for the rest of my life. And also my health vet, you can get a copy from there from you have to sign up for it. But you can get a copy of your medical records there. Now, it doesn't go back all the way back to the time you got discharged, but it goes through like the last 2 to 5 years of the doctors that you've seen and their basic assessment of you or whatever. I don't know if you realize this, but when you go to the doctor, I'm sure I don't want to repeat information. I apologize if I do, but when you go in, your doctor's typing, that's what they're typing notes on you in your medical records. And for, since I've been here, 13th from 2013 to 2022, I see my psychiatrist once every 3 months. And none of her notes are notated. My physical care physician, none of the notes are notated. Well, they are if they refer me to the Houston VA, then those notes are in there. But the referral and the reason for the referrals and the notes that my primary care takes and my psychiatrist takes are two different things. So in other words, what I'm saying is that nowhere in my records does it even reflect that I'm seeing a psychiatrist. I don't know if that's separate or not, but it should all be in your medical records, I would think. So that's the steps that I went through. Hopefully it helps. The description, I know it was upside down, but the description in the box down below will tell you the name, the numbers, the call. It's a 202 number, so I'm assuming it's in Virginia or Washington. But anyway, and I haven't called that number yet because the fact is I'm still waiting on my 10 days. However, today I did get a phone call from a Marine Corps buddy. He's a VSO. He works with the Houston Medical Office. And when all this went down, I contacted him in January and let him know, dude, what's going on? Give me some inside scoop. I think everybody knows, all the veterans know what's the word for today, and I've asked him, what's the word, man? What's going on? And he talks to me Marine level off the record, and we're both off the record. That's why I don't drop his name. But this is what he could tell me so far. First of all, he was concerned about my reaction. He was concerned, do I need to get some help, outside help with the community people that I could go see or could talk to. He even dropped his name and said, man, if you got a problem, call me. And that's how we work as vets. We're always, and also our caregivers have been included in this community. We talk to somebody. I mean, my caregiver is my wife, and she's in touch with all the caregivers or whatever about forms, about things like this or whatever. Cause like we're finding out, you got to stay on top of this shit because they'll just slip something by you. Anyway, the information he provided me was he said that the Houston VA is in turmoil right now, that they're still doing assessments by the old criteria. So in other words, what they did is that all of the people that they had already approved, but were taking off the program, you're on hold. But this does not include people who are applying for the program now. They're utilizing this same system that declined us before. So in other words, they haven't fixed shit. They're still doing reassessments on people that are actually applying and they're actually new coming into the system. That's was very major for me because I would think they would shut down all the reassessments, but that's my personal opinion until they got this all worked out. But unfortunately, that's not how it worked out. That's all it's working out. So I got to talk to him and get the scoop, and he told me that there's no answers at the Houston VA. They're waiting. They're standing by to stand by, basically, but they're still doing the reassessments. So there's a frustration level there with the case managers and the case manager supervisors, because I think I've touched on this last video. This came from up higher, from the regional, from the national headquarters. The seat team is not located at regional offices. They have to send off your name and say, for example, here's how it works. If you're on the list of caregiver, they had to provide the whole list of caregivers that they were servicing out of, like say, for example, Houston VA, and they just went through and started cutting. They didn't review anything. It's just they started cutting the program. So I'm asking for the seat team members who was there, and I want to know the procedure. But apparently, this is from a buddy but he said that they're in turmoil. They don't know what to do. They're upside down. They're still waiting on clarification. So in other words, they're standing by to stand by, as we stand by to stand by, for it to, I guess, work itself out or whatever. However, Miss Richardson and the other lady, what's her name, is Kabat something. I think there's name. I don't know. I just look at her name. I can't even look at her. I can't even read her name. I can't read her name because it just pisses me off because of the way she appeared in front of the committee. These two individuals, in my opinion, they need to be not reassigned. They need to be fired. They need to be fired today. It needs to be an announcement made that they're actually taking this. The VA is actually, our Secretary of Affairs is taking this seriously. He's purging the caregiver program like they've done to us. They've purged us out of the system. So let's call for a purge of the VA system. Personal opinion. It's just my opinion. I'm sorry. Third phone call I got was from the supervisor of account managers who actually handle your account on a daily basis. She's based out of Houston, and she gave me a call. The reason why she gave me a call was because when I got the news, I was like, I don't want to talk. I was like, if it comes from the VA, I throw it away. I didn't answer no phone calls. I didn't, because I knew I'd go off. I mean, my PTSD would have kicked in, and it was physically making me ill just to read this and think about what was for my future. You guys have all been there. Think about what we're going to do in the future, how we're going to react to this, all this, whatever. And this all has mental aspects as far as physical aspects. And I think I recognize that for everybody. I'm not the only one in the boat, put it that way. She said the same thing, that they're in turmoil. She said that she explained to me how the system works, that it came down from the C team, and she had a choice whether they all had a meeting and to tell them what they were going to do and get their instructions. And per these instructions was that decline them. You need to call these people and decline them over the phone. Try to make correspondence if you can, but at least identify them by the phone so they know they're identified, and let them know that their their stip-in will stop in October. And if they have any replies, say their textbook answer was, they said, well, if they have any replies, like, because veterans get pissed. If they have it, well, you can always reapply, or you can always appeal. So this is very important, because the fact is that if they take off the hold, okay, and you reapply, or you choose to appeal, here's the catch-22. They're looking at the same information. You can't add any information. Your doctors can't add any information. It is what it is. They're just reviewing that decision. So if there was a mistake made, if there was something that they overlooked or misinterpreted or something along these lines, it's based. Okay, that's what your next uh, board is going to say. If you're reapplying, you're going to fall back in the same category as the new regulations. So as we see this playing out, we're seeing that they have a purge of the system of the caregivers, and now they're applying the new guidelines to the new veterans. I can't spell it. I've already beat that horse to death. I'm sorry. But I did get this from the case manager supervisor. I did get her feedback on it, and I've known her. I've talked to her. I knew her when she was a case manager, and she would they'd send people out to your home to keep us from driving so far. Sometimes this caregiver program would actually pay for somebody to come out and do an assessment on me, to check on my living conditions, all of that or whatever. And then they asked my caregiver asked my caregiver questions, and they asked me questions, and but I knew her and I got to know her. This is over amount of years, so I kind of trusted her or whatever. She's been promoted up the chain or whatever, but one-on-one when we talked, she said we as case managers knew this was going to be a problem. We identified this problem back in January when we were having to do this. So I'm not making any excuses for anybody, but my response to her is that I said, did you know it was wrong? Did you know that changing this criteria was wrong? Did you have second thoughts about it? And she goes, well, I have to work here, and I have to go with the flow or whatever. And then I asked her a simple question. I said, if this was your dad and this happened to him, how would you feel? That just nipped it in the bud right there. So that's what I got from the case managers, that they're in turmoil. They don't know what to do. They're being reviewed as far as who they call, how they contacted us, all this. They're being reviewed or whatever. Now, I take this with a grain of salt, and I have said this, and it stinks like hell because the fact is that I know somebody else knew. Here's how I know that. Whenever I got the phone call, I called my representative, Louis Gomer from Texas. It's back in January. I called Gomer directly on January, I believe it was the 20th, but correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. But anyway, I informed him at the time that this was going on, that I had had a declination. And I informed him that, I need to have a congressional investigation on this because I can't get any answers from the VA. His office was from Tyler was informed. I actually called his office in Washington, D.C. So he was aware of this situation. Here's how I know that. Because the lady that I talked to, I told her, I said I was requesting a congressional into this because I needed to have help from my congressman figuring out why and what I needed to do to correct it. You guys don't know the story. She said, well, I have a record of you contacted us back in January. So you've known since January. She said, well, at that time we instructed you that you need to send us the letter from the VA so we can initiate the congressional. I told her, I said, ma'am, I called you and I told you I didn't get a letter. I got a phone call. But anyway, he was addressed. He was aware because I called his office in Washington. They were in January. I called them and I told them the same thing, that I had been declined. I wanted a congressional investigation. I wanted my congressman to get involved, to get some questions answered or give me some phone numbers where I could start calling. But I wanted my senator to pick up the phone and say, look, what's going on with this? If him or one of his staff members would have done so, if they would have done so at that particular time, maybe this would have prevented all these declination letters, because the fact is that the answer that he got is what we're getting now. And he would have actually been aware of it and actually been able to do something and talk to his constituents or talk to his other people who found out that this is happening across the board. But he failed to do so. So now we've answered one question. What did you know? Well, I told him one. When did he know it? Back in January. And what did he do about it? Nothing. I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of individuals who got a declination letter or a phone call back in January. I can't believe that they haven't called their congressman or can't call anybody, because I don't think that he was the only one made aware of this. I think that there was a group of senators that were involved in this. I think since it's budget season, the fact is that they had to cut their budget. We got a big budget that we're supposed to approve. But anyway, they were trying to cut the budget, and they went to the VA and they said, where can you cut? The first thing to come up was the caregiver program. The reason why was in a statement that was put out today about a VA. One of the people who were with Ms. Richardson and Ms. Cabot, whatever, speaking for her, said, "Well, we were trying to catch those who were defrauding the VA system." So, in other words, in order to catch, and I'm sure there's a few people that actually may or may not. I don't, but I'm just saying, may have made. But I find it hard to believe of all the checks you have to go through. They have a quality control system all the way up to to the higher ups. I find it very hard to believe that they couldn't catch anybody that was doing fraud, especially the assessments we have to go through every 3 months. I find it very hard to believe. So they were trying to defraud the government. They're trying to catch those people, which you already have a system in place to do that. And also, so now you decide that you're going to purge the system. Now, what we get from the Senate committee is the fact is that, well, they didn't implement it. The results of this didn't come out like we intended. It's politician talk, saying, you know what? We didn't really give a shit. We just wanted them to cut it. We just wanted them to cut amount of money. How they did it, we didn't care. But they come up with a caregiver program, and they cut back, and they purged the system. So, Senate knew about it. Why didn't they ask, well, where are you going to cut back? What programs are you going to cut back? Either they told the senators and Congress, they said, well, we're going to cut back here, 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 but maybe they didn't mention the caregiver program, or maybe they did and our congressman didn't care. That scares me. I want everybody to pay attention to what these people are saying, because it's going to come back to haunt them later. And we need to make a record of what we're asking and the answers we get back. What we need right now is that if you know of anybody that works at the VA, if you know of anybody who is, and there's a lot of people that are upset because of this and what they were forced to do, the Whistleblower Act is out there. They can report this to their superiors, and they're not going to be charged for it. They can't be fired. They can't be because of this letter or whatever. We all know that they're going to be fired for some other reason. But there's got to be somebody within the VA that's got a conscience and say, God, this is bad. Or an ex-employee who actually said, I can't do this no more, and I quit. That's all we need to have a whistleblower come forward and issue what they have actually witnessed. I asked the case supervisor today, are you willing to do that? She goes, I got to work. And I said, so in other words, you're telling me they said you got to do this or you're fired? She goes, yeah, basically. In that meeting, they asked us if you can't do this, there's the door, you can walk. Maybe explain why case managers drop. Maybe it explains why the case managers' numbers are dropping. Because there's some kind of ethics there involved where sometimes you say, you know what, I wouldn't even treat my worst enemy like this. And I wouldn't. I'd mess with them some other way. But anyway, no. But so this is what I know. This is what I've got. What I have. Please check the link below. There's a number down there. A lot of people that I read on Twitter are asking, well, who can I call? I got this. What can I do? And it's very, very time consuming. It's a pain in the ass. They make it that way. And wanting you to give up and quit inquiring about this and quit making phone calls to people insisting on answers. Somebody has got to know the answer, and I want to know who that is. And I'm going to ask the questions. What did Congress know? When did they know it? What did they do about it? What did Louis Gohmert know? What did he do about it? What were the employees of the VA? When did they know? What did they do about it? So to me right now, these individuals who were notified or were actually producing these results, they're all guilty. They're all guilty. And the reason why they're going after the VA now is because damned if Congress didn't get caught. They tried to make cuts in an area to where they didn't think it was going to be noticeable in the VA system. And damned if they didn't get caught. Now, we got a lot of proving to do. We got a lot. That's all circumstantial. I know that. But the pieces of the puzzle, just from my end, what I'm piecing, and I'm working every day on the phone, don't call hold for hours or whatever, but I'm getting to get these pieces or whatever. And I'm utilizing the relationships that I developed when I go to the VA. My trip tomorrow is going to be directly to the Lufkin VA. That's my outpatient clinic. And I'm going to start asking questions. I'm going to go show up at the door. I'm not going to leave until I get to see my primary care physician. Because I want to know the answers. If I have to, I'll make an appointment. But I'm going. That's the only reason why I'm going. Is to ask, what did you put in my notes and why didn't you put it in my notes? For example, I've been on the burn pit registry now for going on 5 years. I currently have COPD. I didn't have it when I got back. But next thing I know, I started having asthma. I never had asthma in my life. They said, oh, it's just asthma. Now I come out, I got COPD. And the transgression of this is not even noted in my medical records because they don't want to admit it until the PAC Act yesterday, where they were actually presented to Congressman. We're told this. And we had to get, what's his name, John, I can't remember his name anyway, the talk show host. He had to go to Congress and beg for us to be able for them to actually admit that they have a problem. Same thing with the caregiver program, guys. And this is where we have to fight it. And unfortunately, the best way to fight it for veterans and also for caregivers is we got to get dirty. We got to get back in the trenches. We got to lock and load. And we got to go to war with these son of bitches. And I'll tell you this, the reason why I say that is because I think maybe we have all fought an enemy at some time. Never, ever did we even fathom the thought of having to fight our own damn VA system or our own government. People say, well, they're benefits. I say it differently. These are earned. Until Miss Richardson or this Cabot lady, whoever the hell she is, I'm going to get that right. I'm going to correct that. But anyway, till they've been in the trenches and they've been shot at and shit at and missed, then shot at and missed and shit at and hit, until they have to go through the personal, then they should not be in a position to make decisions, and they should be fired directly. Speaking as an expert, they should have known the impact because their employees were telling them. VA employees were telling them, and they didn't listen. There's a reason why. So anyway, hope you guys can utilize these numbers. If you get a chance, maybe you can call your local VA. And if you have a relationship with the case managers or whatever, maybe you can get this same information. But I do caution you. I found out something else today, is that whenever you call the VA, do you keep noticing how you keep waiting online and then all of a sudden you're put back on the menu again? Then you have to go through it all again. Every like 15 minutes, you have to go back through it again. It's what they call a VA loop. In other words, if that other person doesn't want to answer the phone, they'll just put you in this loop and you'll keep going on and on and on and on until you get tired and you hang up. What do you do in that situation? Here's what I do. I call back to another department. And the reason why is because it's being transferred to another department to the caregiver program. So they don't know it's a client. I'm a Marine, but we can figure shit out. So try that. And also, I beg you to call your congressman and just at least say you want to put in a congressional investigation. At least say and alert them even if they don't, even if they gaff you off, they want to hang up on you and they treat you like shit. You've made contact and noted that I've made contact with so and so on this certain time, and she hung up on me. And whenever you do get to talk to a live voice at your congressman's numbers, or yeah, when you call a number, you get a live voice, you tell them exactly what happened, have a log go by. So hopefully this gives you guys some information on what I found out. This is my personal case. I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it's like like I said on Twitter, you guys are tweeting, and I read every tweet. I'm following everybody that has a concern about this, who have tweeted about this. I follow you because we may not be friends or whatever, but the fact is that this is the only way that I can get information of what's happening to other vets, and it helps me put the pieces together to what really actually happened and what really wanted to go on, and hopefully it'll provide me answers on how in the hell do I fix it. We're veterans, man, caregivers. We figure out a way to do everything, but we got to have the ammunition to be able to do so. Like I said, thank you guys. If you know of anybody, you don't have to like my video. You don't have to anyway, but if you know a veteran that may can utilize this information, please pass it on. Because it may get them a number, or may get something or whatever. That 202 number, I think it's going to be that. If you call that number, they'll take your freedom of information request over the phone, or like I said, you can do it electronically. I would rather do it electronically because you get a receipt back saying when they actually received it, and that's when your 10 days starts. That day, they've got to get an answer back to you in 10 days. It's the law. If they don't, lawsuit. Get a lawyer involved. Whoever declined it or whoever didn't answer back or whatever, that's what. Have a congressman, okay, subpoenaed or actually asked by an attorney, why didn't you answer this freedom of information request back? Or have the VA, why didn't you answer it back? We get enough of these and we start noticing a trend. We got something. Like I said, it's time to get down. It's time to get dirty. It's time you can yell and scream and holler, but do that and keep it on the front burner for everybody else. But do your homework, do some work, because the fact is that it gets bigger as I go along and get information from people that are kind of off record. But I finally get it, and these are people that work for the VA, so I'm just passing that on. Anyway, you guys have a great evening. Veterans, hang in there, man. I don't recommend calling the crisis line, because if you say something or whatever, they will show up, guns blazing, and they'll show up in standard 2x2 formation, with lock and loaded and ready to take you down. So I reach out to go and call your buddies, talk to your caregiver, talk to your buddies, do whatever you can do to talk to somebody, to where you don't get caught up in the system. Because the fact is that we know if you get caught up, you're going to be on a 72-hour hold. We know they're going to jack with your medications. We know they're going to hold you longer than they can, or they're necessary, just to shut you up, and to teach you a lesson not to call them. Don't call them, because bad things are going to happen. So anyway, but you guys do what you want to. But that's just my personal opinion, my personal experience with these guys. That's what I went through. So anyway, I'm waiting too long. I'm sorry. But anyway, hopefully you can use this information. Like I said, please share it with veterans that you know that are going through a hard time or whatever. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, guys. But we got to cowboy up, and we've got to stick together as veterans, and never leave none of us behind. And I don't want to leave, and I don't want to be the one that didn't share information that maybe if this person that I can get the information out to, that maybe it could help. Maybe I could, bring somebody home today. Maybe I can, that's what we do as veterans. So you guys be good, be careful. Hey, let's stay in it. Stay in the fight, guys. Stay in the fight. I'm out.